Today, our story is about the famous Kremenchuk truck, the KrAZ. A classic hooded truck with a rugged design and durability that even Atlas would envy. As kids, we often got to watch these dump trucks at work when, together with my father, who was a driver, we would ride down the winding roads of the sulfur quarry in his BelAZ 7522. And here's that very BelAZ. I took this photo with my old Nokia. So, as we were going down into the quarry, 3-axle cross trucks would slowly make their way up toward us, hauling yellow ore on their backs. One time, when we visited my father at work in the motor transport shop that serviced the sulfur plant, we learned something about the KrAZ trucks that was hard to believe. It was a local mechanic who told us this story. He set up a little quiz for us to test our knowledge of truck models. We had no trouble identifying the MAZs, KrAZs, and of course, the BelAZs. But when it came to the KrAZ, things got interesting. Of course, we immediately guessed that brand of truck, but Uncle Mikhailo the mechanic, who had set up the quiz, accepted our answers and then added, "But don't you know that the KrAZ is also called a BelAZ?" No, we didn't know that, we all replied in unison. But why do they call it that? To which we got the answer, when you grow up, you'll understand. Well, now we've grown up, and it's time to share this information with you. And this interesting story began with the KrAZ, the one Uncle Mikhailo never quite finished telling us about. No, don't get the wrong idea, there's nothing in this story that kids shouldn't know. Maybe the old mechanic behind the shopping center just wanted to keep a bit of mystery, but anyway, we got a little sidetracked. So, let's continue. This story with the KrAZ began back in 1971, when the Soviet Foreign Trade Association Avtoexport, at the request of the British company Umaplant, started supplying KrAZ 256B trucks to the United Kingdom. In English KrAZ, the steering wheel remained on the left side. It was assumed that the trucks would mainly be used in quarries and on construction sites, away from busy public roads. However, unlike the steering wheel position, the name was changed. And that's all because the KrAZ brand was practically unknown in the West at that time, so they decided to sell the Kremenchuk trucks on the British market under the BelAZ brand. Since the Belarusian BelAZ 540 quarry dump trucks were already known in England, where they had built a good reputation. Thus, thanks to the ingenuity of Soviet marketers, the KrAZ 256B truck was transformed into the BelAZ 256BI, as indicated by the badge on the truck's hood. In the United Kingdom, the trucks were delivered in their standard factory configuration, and then in Foggy Albion, in the city of Glasgow, the UMO company carried out pre-sale preparation. The preparation mainly concerned the cabs, as their level of comfort did not meet the expectations of British drivers. To make the KrAZ trucks look a bit more presentable, the English dealer independently equipped the cabs with sound insulation, more comfortable seats, and soft covers on the dashboard. It might seem like minor additions, but they made a huge difference for the drivers who spent many hours behind the wheel of their trucks. Why the production KrAZ trucks that continued to operate in the USSR didn't get similar features is unknown, but we believe that local drivers would have truly appreciated such care. All the necessary spare parts and components for the British KrAZ trucks were supplied through Avtoexport. The first buyer of KrAZ trucks in England was the Cromwell Company from Newport. For 2 years, the Kremenchuk trucks were used by this company to transport slag during the development of spoil tips. During all that time, the KrAZ trucks did not experience a single serious breakdown. Their main advantages were the strength of their construction, reliability, efficiency, and, according to British drivers, ease of operation. Word about the KrAZ, or more precisely, the BelAZ 256, spread throughout Britain. After the Cromwell Company, 19 Kremenchuk trucks were purchased by the firm Gary Hodges & Sons, which would use them for earthworks. And once again, only positive reviews. The truck's endurance and off-road capability would be especially appreciated. As for the fuel efficiency of the KrAZ trucks, the company's management notes that one KrAZ, compared to other 15-ton trucks, allows them to save about £850 per year on fuel. And the price of the BelAZ 256 truck itself, that is, the KrAZ 256, was also low, only £8,250, which made it stand out favorably from the rest of the competitors. For example, the Magyra, which was at the peak of its popularity at the time, cost £6,000 more. The good technical qualities of the truck and advertising allowed the BelAZ 256BI, by the end of 1978, to become the second best-selling heavy dump truck in the British market. Under the hood of the British KrAZ BelAZ trucks were the good old Yaroslav diesel engines, YNZ 238. The only difference was that, in the English specification, the V8 engine with a displacement of 14.9 liters would have a power output of 265 horsepower. The maximum speed the truck could reach would be 65 kilometers per hour. The payload capacity, depending on the version, would range from 13 to 15. The British company BelAZ, which was involved in highway construction, will become the largest buyer of KrAZ trucks. There will be a total of 30 Kremenchuk trucks in its fleet. Another construction company, Mitchell, which specialized in building ports and power plants, had 25 trucks in its fleet, and all of them were exclusively KrAZ vehicles. But perhaps the most remarkable moment in the history of KrAZ trucks operating in England was their involvement in the grand project of building the Channel Tunnel. According to official data, a total of 433 trucks will be exported to England. Most of these were dump trucks, but the English also purchased a small number with flatbed platforms. It's also worth noting that even after stricter environmental regulations were introduced, European construction companies continue to buy KrAZ trucks. It's just that now these trucks, which didn't meet environmental standards, were used on construction sites as industrial vehicles without the right to drive on public roads. Besides England, Kremenchuk trucks were exported to 40 countries around the world. KrAZ trucks rolled their wheels across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. They also became popular with the people of Cuba. Overall, the KrAZ 256 was produced from 1966 to 1994. It became a truly indispensable truck, taking part in almost every construction project across the USSR, and later in Ukraine as well. KrAZ trucks worked in quarries, served in the military, and transported all kinds of cargo. In short, they were those good old classic trucks, straightforward in design and with a touch of ruggedness that only added to their unique charm. That's the story we've shared with you today. The story of a truck from Kremenchuk that, after changing its name, found real fame far away in Britain. That's today, but back then, in our childhood, we would often visit the motor transport workshop and listen with excitement to all sorts of drivers' stories. It was there that we learned another interesting story about the KrAZ truck. Maybe it wasn't a true story, just a tale told by one of the drivers, but it sounded like a scary story meant to frighten someone before bed. And it was about KrAZ trucks that were being shipped in large batches to Japan. This started to surprise a lot of people. Why would a small country like Japan need so many trucks? And most importantly, there was no feedback at all. No warranty claims, no requests for service consultations. And later it became known that the Japanese were simply dismantling the trucks into separate parts, sorting the metals, which after processing were turned into Japanese machine tools in cars. Still under the impression of the stories we just heard, we slowly climbed the steps into the cab of my father's BelAZ to set off once again for the sulfur quarry. Time passed and we grew up. The quarry kept getting deeper, and the small workers' settlement that had sprung up next to the sulfur plant turned into a cozy town of 30,000, one of the youngest in Ukraine. But those KrAZ trucks, those good old KrAZ trucks, are almost all gone now. Many of them have been cut up for scrap metal. The rest, forgotten by everyone, are rusting away somewhere in the backyards of equally abandoned factories. And even the BelAZ 7522, the one with the orange cab and gray body, can't be found anymore.